So all night long, I noticed there was something moving back and forth outside our bedroom in the hallway. And it wasn't until the next morning when Tom started sharing about something that he noticed that we recognized, oh, we had some company last night.
It was a ghost.
It was a couple ghosts, actually, but one specifically. So,
Yeah.
welcome back to another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. And we want to share this time about traveling with spirit
Traveling with spirit.
and how spirits show up because we travel a lot and we have traveled a lot. And this was actually our first time that this really ever happened for us.
Yeah, shortly after we came together, you might say, well, I guess about a year later.
Yeah.
And we decided to go to Italy.
For my 50th birthday.
Teresa wanted to go, so we went. And were we in Assisi then?
We were staying in where all the wine is. Tuscany? It was in Tuscany.
Tuscany area, yeah. And then older place, and it was beautiful, and staying at a winery. And from my perspective, we went to sleep that evening, and I woke up and I could have sworn there was a young girl walking up and down the hallway just outside the bedroom. And I think there was another energy there, which I've forgotten about, but you could probably share about that. And it came a few times during the night. I mean, it was so strong. I really thought maybe somebody was in the hallway, kind of a thing. And I got up and I had to, as you do in the middle of the night, and there was nothing there, of course. The door was locked and that kind of thing. But the impression was so strong that I was like, it really hit me. And I don't have those kinds of experiences all the time. So from my perspective, I remember getting up in the morning and saying to Teresa, it was like we had a visitor last night. I mean, I think it was, a spirit. It was a ghost kind of a thing. And
so for my part,
and all of a sudden she says,
well, yeah. So for my part,
that's all I said to her.
Well, first I'll share a little bit about we were in a villa. So we were not in a hotel. We were not next to other people. We were in a villa, a country villa on a winery. And this villa had a bedroom. It had a little sitting room, a bathroom across a hallway, and then the hallway between everything. But our bedroom was separate than the bathroom. So yeah, so I'm half in and out of my sleep, and I really get a sense all night long that there's something moving in the hallway back and forth. So when Tom proposes, hey, I think there was, I'm like, yeah, I remember there was, or I recall there was something going back and forth all night long in the hallway.
And you described it as a young girl in the hallway. And I went, oh my goodness, that's exactly what I picked up. So before I had a chance to share with her what my impression was of that energy, Teresa just said it clean and clear and described the other energy that was around. Was kind of like,
the other one we found later. So the thing is once we figured out that there was something in the villa, and because, since we're energy, all of us are energy. And when we travel, and if we're very cleansed and we're very bright, which a lot of times we are when we're moving around, things are attracted, and they I think can sense, direction. Right. They can sense that we have the ability, or we can help them. Right. Okay. That's one of the main reasons I feel that this spirit and the other spirit really presented themselves. So Tom and I have been doing work, trance healing work for, him for quite a while and me for several years. And so we know techniques as to how to send them back with their guidance to the light and move on. So we sat down to do a certain technique to do this. And then we recognized that there was someone else there that was ready to move on too. So we assisted that soul in moving on. And so it was really great because it was, a clearing of the area, and who knows how long those souls have been there.
Yeah. Well, we got some facts on that at the time, but and this is training that's available through the Wayshores College, which is an affiliate of ours. And And both Teresa and I have had that training. We've done this work on tour when we've been in Florida. We've had these kinds of
In Australia.
healing tables, we call them. And, but when spiritually we attract things because sometimes we attract because we have similar concepts or we have similar ideas, or there's a familiarity with that energy, with that soul, maybe from another lifetime. And, souls aren't really here. They're just thinking about things here, and we pick them up, and they're still kind of reliving, the past memories, basically. So, anyway, we worked with the techniques that we've been, trained to work with, and, quick cleansing, no big deals, very businesslike in a way. And that's why we don't really remember many details, because but I did have a feeling that we knew that soul in the past. Mm-hmm. And
yeah, that's coming to me now too. I remember that.
Yeah. And I think it was near Assisi where we were, it
wasn't far from Assisi.
It wasn't far. So, but anyways, the only reason, how do you prove an experience like this? It's like trying to prove you had a strong dream, one of those lucid dreams, but it was just through the night. And, like the big key for me was I hadn't even begun to describe it. And out of Teresa's mouth was exactly what I experienced,
Right.
Describe the basics, what we were both picking up on.
Well, and I think the interesting part and why we're bringing this subject up today is just to recognize that, as we've talked about in other episodes, is, in our environment and the people that we live with and play with and work with, we experience all kinds of things energetically. But sometimes we forget about that when we travel.
Right.
Especially when we travel to these far off places. I mean, this Tuscany villa had been there for a long time. And I'm assuming those souls had been there for a long time. And so, and I myself too have traveled other places around the country, around the world, and have had some pretty intense situations. Looking back, that was clearly souls, or that was clearly energy. And I didn't know what to do with it at a time. Like an example is my first experience in Hawaii. I literally in the middle of the night woke up being attacked by two spirits. I mean, like I remember fighting, and then just like, when I said that to Tom in the morning, like, it was a girl, blah, blah. I just know, right? So I just knew. I didn't know where these spirits came from, but I know that there's a lot of things that have happened in that area. And I think also Lumeria is in that area, part of the world. And I was part of Lumeria.
Near Hawaii. Yeah.
Hawaii. Yeah. Lumeria. Okay. But I mean, it was all that whole, the whole Pacific area at one point. So, or a lot of it in that area. That was one of my impressions later when I learned more about Lumeria and the part of that world, part of the world like that was there. So, but yeah, so recognizing as you travel around, you might experience energies or, feeling weird, because I've been places too where I've gotten really sick. And why did I get really sick? It might have been an energy, or it might have been something there that I wasn't able to discern and recognize at that time. So we're sharing these experiences just to give you another, like a heads up or like an insight to when you travel places, just be aware of how you're feeling when you travel and what spirit might be putting into place for you, maybe to support you on your journey or just to give you insights.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I would do differently from that experience, and this was several years ago now, but I would really just regroup with my guidance, check with my guidance, so I anticipate what I'm moving into, anticipate the energies I might be moving into. Like even if you're staying at somebody else's house, what are the concepts that are heavy around that house that those folks are working through? And there might be pressures in certain areas. And if we're not, careful, careful, like it's not a big deal. It's just, as long as I know who I am and what I'm feeling and what's me and what's not me, I can move easily in and out of those situations and not pick up any hitchhikers, so to speak, and bring them home with me. So
yeah, it's just an awareness, right?
It's just an awareness. And it's that maybe not every pressure I pick up is me, that I've got some help with that. There has to be something that, anyway. So that's something that, I like to cleanse the environment that I'm in. I like to cleanse the road that I'm traveling. I like to send cleansing to the places I'm going. And then as I do pick up these impressions, I'm more discerning of them. Like I feel more detached from what I am aware of, you know.
Right.
So the main thing is there's nothing to be afraid of. It's just that if I get all fearful about it, it just kind of intensifies the fear, you know. So, you know, it's like we go down this hole of fear kind of a thing, which, you know, is not such a big deal. It just feels uncomfortable, you know.
Well, and I think that's the thing that we like about what we call making spirituality practical, right? I mean, so
Yeah.
what does that really mean? Well, to me, that really means is that I understand what I'm dealing with when I feel an energy or there's an energy in our
Yeah.
room, or like Tom is saying, you know, we both of us discern and we were able to cleanse ahead of time and kind of know what we're getting into. Or when I go and I'm around someone for several hours and then I come home and I act out something that person I've experienced with them. I'm like, oh, I picked up something. So,
Yeah.
so it's really just giving you guys an awareness of, you know, that we're energy, and that, you know, there are things that pop up throughout our journeys. And the more that we're aware, the more that we're, you know, not in the shadow, so to speak, or like, you know, not knowing what it's about, the more there's power in knowledge. There you go. That's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. There's power in discerning the facts and
That's it.
getting the
Exactly.
understanding that you need.
Right. And that helps you, especially when you're moving through your day, your life, your journey, and especially when you travel, because there's a lot of energies, you know, that you're coming around and being exposed to that. And sometimes too, when we travel, you know, I think back to the Italy one. So we started at the south part of Italy, and this was like our third stop in a 21-day journey. So we were a bit tired. We probably could have cleanse, and we might have cleansed somewhat, but not, you know, you're just tired, you're traveling, you're getting in your place, you're settling down, and then all this chaos is going on at night. Oh, and I have another one too that happened before, where my friend and I were in New Mexico, and down the road was a cemetery. And at that point I wasn't quite aware of, you know, presences and stuff, but I mean, and somewhat, but not like she was. And so all night long, we got visited by, you know, people trying to get help. And so then if I would have understood about cleansing and about, you know, how to, you know, help them move back to their side, it would have been a lot better, because there was a lot of people. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that there's all kinds of energies everywhere, especially when you're traveling.
Yeah. And, you know, we're so sensitive that when we go back to places that, if you believe in reincarnation, that we've been before, we start to tune back into the energy of those times or how we felt at that time. So that's something that it's kind of fun in a way, because you realize, you know, wow, you know, that's where I was. But it's an area to anticipate. You know, it's an area to recognize, okay, that's then, this is now. And anyways, well, that sounds like a good ghost story. This maybe should be a Halloween episode.
A good ghost story. It's being aware of other energies around us that are some call apparitions, some may call just spirit energies, whatever you want to call it. But just being aware helps you become aware of, you know, what you can start discerning, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was a good one, Tom.
Sounds good.
Cheers to that one.
Cheers to that one.
So thank you all again for listening in or watching another episode of Enthusiastically Spiritual. We appreciate each and every one of you. And please make sure that, you know, if there's someone that you think might enjoy this episode or another one you've recently watched or listened to, please feel free to share. Please make sure you also subscribe if you are on our YouTube channel. And also, if you are on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a little message of how you enjoyed the episode. We would really appreciate it. Right?
And remember
that
life is too short to not be enthusiastic about your unique journey.
To keep the enthusiasm going, please like, subscribe, or comment below. We would love to hear from you.